My name is Mal or Mallory. Call me either one. I'm a designer advocate here at Figma. I'm super excited to share a little bit about my journey becoming a spin instructor and what that looks like for each class.
Awesome. Let's dig in.
First, before diving into how I prepare for my classes, I thought I'd go on a little journey of how I got here. I really didn't have much of a background in fitness other than enjoying going to classes or going to the gym with friends. But in March 2023, I actually started indoor cycling for the first time. I fell in love with the energy and motivation different instructors I would try brought. It gave me a lot of inspiration. So I started just riding by myself at home or in the gym I had. And then after taking virtual classes for months, I finally joined a local studio. I was so nervous to go into a new space. And then I started taking classes at least 5 times a week and became really obsessed with getting good at it because it was just such a different thing from riding at home. And one day I noticed there was a new instructor and I went to the owner of the studio. I went up to her. I said, okay, I'm going to be the next one. And I was. I just became super motivated to actually accomplish it because it's just something different that I never tried. And I wanted to prove to myself, but also try something new. So in January, I started training and it had secretly been my dream for months, but it felt like really great and awesome to finally make that a reality. But it took a lot of training. There's one thing to ride the bike, but another thing to speak the whole time. There's nothing that could have prepared me for that. But slowly but surely, I practiced a lot. And then in March, I auditioned and I got accepted. And I did my first few community rides and I was able to start teaching. And fast forward to October now, I teach 3 to 5 classes a week. And I made a lot of relationships with other riders and get to share my favorite music. So that's the journey of how I got here. And it's been a fast year actually, but I have a lot more to learn too. Getting over to how I prepare for my classes. At my studio and the general structure that a lot of follow, and it's 45 minutes of content. That means I need to find 45 minutes of songs. And with that, we also have to coordinate the resistance and our choreography. This is really important to think about ahead of time because when we want to think about like the cadence and energy arc of a class, over here I have this diagram. You don't want to be doing like full resistance climbing all the time. And you don't want to be sprinting the whole time either because it's just not going to be a good experience for people. You have to cater to the general energy of the class. I like to think of it as like waves and arc of class of how starting mid and then different peaks and places where we can chill out for a bit and then end on a high note as well. So definitely important to think about like the overall experience as well, which is interesting as from a designer to think about. I'm always just thinking about the end-to-end experience, even when doing fitness. It's definitely been fun to learn how to play DJ and read the room of what people enjoy. Talking about theming, this is something I do every single month around like the 25th to the 30th of the previous. I open up the calendar and I plan. So these are actually the real dates I teach. I teach Monday, Wednesday, and Sundays. And I try and do 2 themes a week with just like our OG format on the other day. And these are actually my themes for this month. And the last thing, which probably takes the most time, is my programming. And I actually write out for every class something like this, where I have to think about the BPM I use.
Wow.
I actually program all the lighting I do for each song as well.
Wow.
And then I had to think of different choreos. So like our spin studio is heavy on choreo and heavy on dancing almost, which is why I got into it because I grew up as a competitive dancer. So I think about all the different choreo that will go with the tracks I choose. And then I have to make sure it all fits into 40 to 45 minutes. And this is an example of what my notes app looks like when I go up on the podium. I have all of this next to me with all of my notes, and I go through the songs, and for each one I'll change the lighting, play maybe some disco lights in there, some change up the vibe a bit. Yeah, it's pretty fun, and it can be a lot of work, but I feel like this is like a different creative side to me. I never really thought this would bring out more creativity, but like having all this control and being able to control like the energy of a room and experience for other people is just something I've become really passionate about. Yeah,
Thank you
that's my story.
for sharing this passion with us. One, you mentioned affirmations. What's a go-to affirmation? What affirmation can you give to our audience today?
I always go back to I can do hard things.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's just so relatable in anything. I often come back to that at work because I feel like you're just constantly growing and finding challenges.
Yeah.
And that's something that I find really interesting about just biking in general, especially when we're doing like our climbs and our heavy resistance.
Yeah.
I'm constantly like, okay, add more resistance, add another turn, and you should see people's faces. But it's true. If you can get through it in the moment, like that work you do translates to other things in your life too. So I found that, yeah, I can do hard things. Yeah, is a really good thing to tell yourself because you've accomplished and you've gotten through everything to this point.
Yeah.
So you might as well keep trying. Yeah.
It's a perfect mantra. We can do hard things. You can do hard things. And what my last question is, what is the favorite class that you've led so far?
Oh, that is, okay, I have two.
Okay.
I feel like any Latin ride I've done is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Just because I get to meet a lot of people in the Latin community where I live, and it's my favorite type of music, so I just enjoy myself the most. But I also did a disco ride, which was really fun. I like brought in lights and decorated. Yeah, it was really fun. I grew up, my parents were competitive disco dancers. I grew up listening to that music, so it was just really fun to get on the bike and then have some fun, be a little cheesy, and bring the energy. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for bringing your energy to the design community as an advocate and to your fitness community and creating that community with your students. I can't wait to come visit your studio and join a class sometime soon. Thank you so much for teaching us a little bit about becoming a spin instructor. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.